Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Star-Lord. Original appearance Star-Lord from the early days back in comics, late 70s, early 80s. This is what Star-Lord used to look like, and this is when I was first introduced to Star-Lord as a character. I have been really looking forward to this figure coming out. I pre-ordered him. I think it was a Walmart exclusive. We'll get into the price at the end of the video, but was very much looking forward to this because this was a character long before he was in the movies and a part of Guardians of the Galaxy later on, and had a completely different look. This was kind of the space swashbuckling Star-Lord that I grew up with, so I was glad we were finally getting, you know, kind of an original version of him. Now they've got him kind of attached to Guardians of the Galaxy. He was not originally part of Guardians of the Galaxy, even though that's what's plastered on the front of this box. He was kind of his own character doing his own thing that eventually got pulled into Guardians of the Galaxy. But I've been a huge fan of Star-Lord for a long time, to the point that a lot of you guys know that I don't really collect comics anymore and haven't for a while, but I actually have kind of a decent collection of old school, you know, Star-Lord comics here. And you can see from this one here, this is his original look from, I think this one's from the early 80s sometime. I don't remember which one this is from, but this is the Star-Lord Special Edition #1. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of original Star-Lord. And so I was happy to get this guy. So again, without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's crack this guy open and see what we've got inside. All right, so here we got him out of the package. We'll look at accessories first. We do get a couple of extra hands. We get an extra right gun hand and an extra left fisted hand. He comes with one fisted hand and one gun hand there. We do get his saber there. This thing had a name, I think, and I don't remember what it was called. And then, of course, we get his element gun. I believe this is the gun that in the comics was his father's gun, who was an alien, you know, because he's half alien. Not the story from the movies, but different alien. And, you know, it shoots the 4 elements, is basically the cool thing about this gun. Anyway, we've got the figure itself, and I gotta say, with one exception, which I will point out, he looks pretty damn good. Now, make no mistake, this is a basic sculpt, and I believe this is the Vulcan body, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think he looks pretty good. Now, one of the first things that pops out when I'm looking at this guy as far as paint and sculpt goes is I've got some issues there with the paint on the arms where the white is actually left out of the cracks there. On both arms, by the way. I can touch that up, but I shouldn't have to. The blue on this looks great. It's kind of a nice matte blue. It's not shiny at all, which I do appreciate. Head sculpt looks really good, although I wish it would have come with an extra head sculpt of him without the helmet on, but I think they did a good job with the helmet itself. Belt looks good, holster looks good, boots look good, but then we get to the one thing that I just took notice of. Before I saw the missing white paint there, the gold that's supposed to be a part of his boots that is painted here is clearly a different gold than the plastic of the boots itself, and that sucks, man. Like, I honestly would have rather had them not paint this gold piece up here at all if it wasn't going to match. That's an issue to me. Like, that's not like, this is a mistake. That's QC stuff. This is intentional. So if you can't match the gold, don't even try, in my opinion. I mean, what was the point of that? So I don't know if I'm going to do anything about that, but you certainly could remove that gold paint. Since this is just blue plastic, you could just remove the gold paint if you wanted to. Maybe look like a little bit of a cleaner look there. But overall, you know, it's a good sculpt. The paintwork is decent. Again, minus this, which, seriously, guys, come on. Missing paint there. And this. So, okay on paint, good on sculpt, but there's not a lot going on here with this Vulcan body. And the head sculpt does look great. I do love the original look for the helmet and everything. It looks good. And the gold on the helmet actually looks really, really nice. So that's good. But again, we get to a figure that maybe if you don't have a personal connection to this original version of Star-Lord from back in the 70s and 80s, might not be something you're very interested in because it's not a fantastic figure. Like, it's okay. Sculpt wise, it's solid. Everybody likes the new Vulcan body. You know, it's got a belt and a harness with a holster for the gun. Fine. Paintwork could be much better. Head sculpt looks great, but I can understand why people might want to pass on this if you're not particularly a Star-Lord fan. Would be completely understandable. So we do get, you know, all the standard articulation. Again, I'm not going to go through all that. But it's a solid figure with a few paint missteps here. And I do like the character of Star-Lord, as I already pointed out. So let's go ahead. Let's throw him up with some other figures and see how this guy stacks up. All right, so first up, we got to compare him to some other original Guardians of the Galaxy members. Not that Star-Lord is, as I said, he wasn't an original Guardians of the Galaxy member, but due to these being characters created in the 70s and 80s and having that old school aesthetic, I think they work well together. And, you know, obviously Star-Lord was later a part of a different version of Guardians of the Galaxy, so you know, for display purposes, you might want to put these guys together. I think this is how I'm probably going to display them, is together on the same shelf. And so you want to see how they work together, and I think they work pretty well. They've got kind of this old school 70s, 80s look to them with the costume designs and things like that. And I think aesthetically, they work well. All right, so look at some other cosmic characters from the Marvel Universe. Of course, on the right, we've got Quasar, and on the left, we've got Drax. Now, this is the Marvel Select version of Drax, which is my personal favorite Drax. He's very comic book accurate, and Drax is a huge alien. He should be considerably bigger than human characters, so I like this version of him. This is the version I have on my display shelf, and I think this works really well, and I think it's a good height representation of these characters. The other thing about Quasar there is actually this head sculpt right here is almost identical to what Star-Lord is supposed to look like when he takes his helmet off from this era. So if you wanted to do a head swap between these two to have that as, you know, Peter Quill's head when he has the helmet off, I think it would work pretty damn well. All right, guys, so let's talk about price here real quick. And this guy goes for the brand new entry-level price for Marvel Legends of $25. Is it worth it? And again, just like I said in my Yondu review, it's really going to come down to whether or not you have an affinity for this character. I do, so I think it's worth it. If you don't, I get it. I mean, it's 25 bucks. There's not a lot going on here, although I do appreciate the fact that they used a newer sculpt for this guy. But again, it's not a lot going on here. So if you don't particularly care about this version of Star-Lord, it is kind of an easy pass. But for me, huge fan of this version of Star-Lord, much more than the new version that we have of him. And so I'm very happy to get this guy. Paint defects and all, I'm willing to overlook it because this is a character I like, and I'm glad to get a good original version of Star-Lord here. So take that for what you will. It's going to come down to personal preference. You know, glad I picked him up. Sucks that he's a Walmart exclusive, but 25 bucks, entry-level price. Okay, I get a character I've been wanting, and it's decently well done. Again, sculpt and articulation, everything's fine. Paint leaves something to be desired. So where does it fall? You know, I don't know. That's kind of up to you. But I would love to hear what you guys think about this figure. Is this even something you care about? If it is, would love to know why. Do you like the character the way I do? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you've already got him and you love him or hate him, let me know why down in the comments. So there you go, guys. That is it. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. And as always, remember to enjoy your collection.